I wanted to call about Matt Walsh's segment about that ivory-billed woodpecker going extinct that you guys covered yesterday. And I'm an avid bow hunter, and sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
What kind of bow? Is it like the one with the pulleys?
Yeah, I use a compound bow.
Okay.
So,
did you ever use a recurve or a different type, or you just went right to the compound bow?
So I started doing archery, I don't know how interesting this is for the audience, but
it's interesting
for Sam.
I don't care what they say.
And then I eventually, when I got into hunting, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, is when I switched over to the compound bow.
Right.
Just because it was.
And do you hunt on 495? Where do you hunt? Do you go to New Hampshire or something?
Yeah, well, so kind of all over the place. I do a lot of my hunting down in Holliston, and then in Haverhill too, and just some of these more kind of old farm communities that have good amounts of public land and stuff that you can hunt on.
So you hunt in deer, is that it?
Yeah, hunting deer and turkey.
All right.
So, because I got into it, I tried to be my wife and I tried to stop eating meat, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and just because we couldn't really, I don't know, I didn't feel good about buying meat from the grocery store, so we tried to go vegetarian, and I couldn't hack it. I think we went vegetarian for maybe 6 or 7 months, and I didn't really feel that great.
Okay.
Just because I do some activities, some sports and stuff, and I didn't feel good. So
a lot of athletes do.
Then I decided,
okay. But all right, go ahead.
Yeah. So we were just well, if I'm going to eat meat, I have to kind of, I don't know, take some responsibility for the process and just go get it myself. So, fortunately, we haven't had to buy meat from the grocery store in since last year because I got 2 deer.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. So what do you got? So you're a bow hunter.
Well, it's just, say that again?
Well, and you're talking about the bird.
Well, it's not just the bird. It's kind of his, I'm kind of like a hunting, advocate. And there's this really weird, I don't know, cognitive dissonance in the hunting community because there's a lot of conservatives that are hunting.
Right. They're and some of them are conservationists. Not necessarily environmentalists, but conservationists.
Yeah, but there's this kind of you'll go into this hunting community, you'll talk about conservation, and this story about classifying this woodpecker as extinct has been really contentious in some of the hunting communities that I'm a part of, because there are these hunters that want to preserve these animals for hunting in the future, yet at the same time, they don't really want to do anything and support any policies that protect the habitats that the animals that, we enjoy hunting live in. And you had mentioned something yesterday about introducing wolves in Montana. I can't remember what state you referenced, but there's different initiatives to introduce wolf populations back into the wild, Montana, Wyoming, and now in Colorado. And there's this weird juxtaposition where these hunters want to, they want to advocate for management by scientists and not do wildlife management by regulation or by legislation. But at the same time, when you have these wildlife biologists and these people that do these studies that come out and say at the same time, hey, these things that we're doing to the environment and these leases that we're giving out for oil drilling or fracking are destroying these wildlife habitats, then it's okay, well, the wildlife biologist's opinion don't count anymore because it's going counter to my narrative about what's good for the economy.
Yeah, so, there used to be more of a streak of conservation on the right, but the sort of the cultural sort of signifiers have taken over. And
it used to be the Teddy Roosevelt style outdoorsmen loved the public land and the commons, basically.
Yes, and that is just dissipated because it is there are these cultural signifiers, and that's what it comes down to. It's just you don't want to be a tree hugger.
Well, there's a great book that came out in 2018. It's The Republican Reversal. I think it's by James Morton. and he talks about basically four issues or four kind of topics that kind of changed the Republican mindset around conservation. And one was viewing environmental issues as not being urgent, but more being like alarmist and over-exaggerated. And then there's a shift on relying on scientific research and expertise to kind of viewing these agencies and these entities with like suspicion.
Yep.
There's been a shift of like embracing the central role of government in addressing environmental problems to like viewing regulations as a threat to economic growth. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's really tough to have like this like I want, it's tough in my situation. Like I want to be kind of like an advocate for wildlife and kind of expand access to public land, expand protection of public land, but like the members of my own community, because of these cultural issues, just are their behavior is like totally antithetical to their goals.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what the answer for that is, but all right, listen.
Me either. I don't know. I just keep
appreciate the call.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. See ya.
Thanks.
We just have to emphasize more of the public land stuff, because I know like hunters in North Dakota do get upset when like river bottoms and stuff are going to get enclosed by capitalists. So it's still something that can activate people, but the cultural stuff is just
particularly more out there.
Yeah, I think that's true too.